Hey, how you going there, peeps? Phil here from MTG Kiwi Philosophy here again, bringing you another deck tech, but this time I'm doing a 4-colored vehicle deck, so it's a little bit tricky with the mana fixing, but I'm sure you enjoy it because it's a lot of fun. Alright, peace out, I'll catch you on the flip side, peeps. Ciao. Shotgun. Okay, let's kick this off. Now the reason I've called this deck Shotgun is because it is a vehicle deck. Not only is it a vehicle deck, but it's a 4-color vehicle deck. In testing, this deck has worked quite well. It hasn't really been clunky. Let's kick it off anyway. And this is the first creature that we're going to help with our vehicle deck, and that is 4 copies of Contraband Kingpin. Now I do love Contraband Kingpin. He's 1 blue, 1 black, so he only costs 2. He's 1/4. And he has lifelink. On top of this, he also has whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you get to scry. So the good thing about Contraband Kingpin that I like is the fact that he's got 4 defense. So we can get him into play early, we can start stalling, and on top of that, whenever we're playing any artifacts, we're going to be able to scry and look for those fixings for our problems, or whether it would just be getting our artifacts and our other cards into play. And the next card that we're going to use to synergize with the Contraband Kingpin is our first of many vehicles, and that is 4 copies of Untethered Express. Now Untethered Express is a 4-drop. It's a vehicle, it's 4/4 trample, and whenever Untethered Express attacks, you can put a +1 counter on it. And it's only crew 1. So Contraband Kingpin is going to be able to crew this vehicle very easily. And we are going to swing in, it'll get +1, it becomes a 5/5 with trample. This card is amazing. It is so overpowered and so underrated. Now the Contraband Kingpin is one of the 2 creatures that we're going to be using in this deck that we're going to help build our vehicles around. And so moving on to our second creature, that's our vehicle build around, 4 copies of Weldfast Engineer. Now Weldfast Engineer is a 3-drop, 1 black, 1 red, 1 other, 3/3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target artifact creature you control gets +2 until the end of the turn. Now Contraband crews the Untethered Express, it attacks, gets +2, and goes from being a 5/5 to a 7/5 trample. I do like this, it's very good. Great combination. The best thing about this combination is the flow. So we're going from a 2 to a 3 to a 4-drop. Turn 5 is when we're really going to have things starting to happen to us. Now I know it's mid-range and we really want to be getting to that turn 5 to be able to start attacking, but at the end of the day we want to be able to make sure that we're definitively be able to set ourselves up and swing in effectively. Now as I spoke of setting up correctly, so in order for us to be able to make sure we're getting that real good flow on, that good position where we're going from a 1-drop straight into a 5, we're going to go into our run drops, and our first 1-drop is going to be 4 copies of Consulate Dreadnought. Now I love Consulate Dreadnought. It's a 1-drop, it's 7/11, it's a vehicle, it's crew 6. So you're probably thinking, how are we going to be able to crew into 6? Well, it's very easy. We call it the waterfall effect, is one way. So you go from Contraband to Untethered into the Consulate Dreadnought if necessary. Otherwise, what we were going to do is we're going to bring in another 3-drop, and that is 4 copies of Siege Modification. Now, Siege Modification is an enchantment. It is double red and 1 other, so we really need to make sure we get our mana fixing nice and early and we get those double reds into play. Now, enchant creature or vehicle. So we're going to be enchanting our vehicles, and we want to probably most likely our favorite target is going to be the Consulate Dreadnought. So as long as the enchant permanent is a vehicle, it's a creature in addition to its other type, and it gets +3 and first strike. So if we enchant Siege Modification on top of our Consulate Dreadnought, it becomes a 10/11 first strike creature. And if it's attacking with the Weldfast Engineer in play, it gets +2 as well. This is beautiful. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. There's a lot of enchantment removal going around at the moment. How else can we get an easier way to make our Consulate Dreadnought a creature? Well, this is how. You go with 3 copies of Peace Walker Colossus. Now, Peace Walker Colossus is a fantastic piece. It's so versatile. It has an ability where you pay 1 white and 1 other, and you can turn another vehicle you control into an artifact creature until the end of the turn. This Peace Walker Colossus can turn the Consulate Dreadnought into a creature for only 2 mana. On top of it, it's only a 3-drop, so we're getting a lovely curve here. So at the moment, we don't have anything we're playing that is above 3 mana. Now the Peace Walker Colossus is 6/6, and it is a 4 for a crew. So it's not too hard to crew. We can always use another vehicle to crew it, or we can use another Peace Walker Colossus to turn the Peace Walker Colossus into a creature, or we can use the Siege modification as well. So there's many ways that we're going to use the synergy out in our decks to interact with each other to make sure we're consistently having blockers and attackers. And also the best thing about having all these vehicles is whenever we use a mass removal spell, or whenever our opponents use a mass removal spell, something like Fumigate, we don't have to have our Untethered Express or any of our vehicles for that matter crewed, because it's a sorcery speed. The only thing we really need to worry about is Settle the Wreckage. Well, if you've been watching some of my other deck techs, you'll know I like to be very versatile and making sure we have lots of ways to trigger our victory. And life gain is a big part of that, and so is evasion. So we're going to go with a card that's going to give us a bit of both of that, and that is 2 copies of Aether Spear Harvester. Now, Aether Spear Harvester is perfect. It's a 3-drop once again. It's flying. It's 3/5. It comes into play with 2 energy. We can pay an energy, and it gains lifelink until the end of the turn. And also, it's a crew 1. Once again, Contraband Kingpin. You're flying in with the Weldfast, giving it +2. You use your energy, gain 5 life. Now, I do believe that 2 evasion creatures with flying is not going to be enough. So to add to that, and being a vehicle, we're going to go with 3 copies of Sky Sovereign Consoled Flagship. Yes, it is a 5-drop, and it flies at 6/5, and when it enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. It's crew 3. So, Weldfast Engineer can crew it, it attacks, gets +2, it becomes an 8/5 flyer, dealing 3 damage. Pretty damn good, I say. Okay, so we've gone through a lot of the vehicles and the creatures now, but we haven't discussed our removal. Now, the flagship is part of our removal. It is our late game removal. It is a vehicle that flies in as well. We also need to be able to have something else that's going to synergize with the removal for our artifacts and vehicles, and that is 4 copies of Unlicensed Disintegration. 1 black, 1 red, 1 other, instant speed, destroy target creature, and deal 3 damage to target opponent if you control an artifact. Now, the beautiful thing about Unlicensed Disintegration in a vehicle deck is the additional 3 damage that we are going to be able to deal every time we cast this. The combination I love about Unlicensed Disintegration is when you have the Siege modification attached to the Consulate Dreadnought, you're swinging in with 10, pre-combat, you destroy their creature, they have no blocks, they take an additional 3 damage, that's 13 damage in 1 turn. But we're also going to need a board wipe, and to do that, I'm only going to go with a small number, and that is 2 copies of Bontu's Last Reckoning. Now, Bontu's Last Reckoning is a double black, 1 other, it's a 3-drop, it is sorcery speed. You can destroy all creatures. Lands you control don't untap during your next untap step though. So we want to make sure we're very careful about how we go about tapping our lands. We also need to be versatile. So I've chosen 3 copies of Deseret, the Schemer. Now, Deseret is a 4-drop. It's 2 colorless, 1 blue, 1 black. It has 5 loyalty. Its first ability is, gets +1, create a colorless artifact token named Ethereum. Sell with sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your pool. Great for mana fixing. Its second ability, -2, target creature gets -XX until the end of the turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Well, we've got vehicles, okay? There's going to be artifacts in play. We have Ethereum tokens in play. And its -7 ability, if we get to it, sure. You get an emblem with, at the beginning of combat, on your turn, target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with the base power of 5/5. Now, if we can turn an Ethereum into a 5/5 creature every combat, great. Nothing wrong with that. And if we need be, we can sacrifice it still at instant speed and be able to use its mana for other things. But this is, don't get me wrong, a very aggressive mid-range vehicle deck. Shotgun that. We still need something else to help our deck along, and that is, of course, going to be some form of protection for our creatures. I've gone with 3 copies of Divedown. Now, Divedown is a 1-drop, 1 blue. It is an instant speed. Target creature you control gains +3 in hexproof until the end of the turn. So this is going to be good when we're being aggressive. If we're attacking in with a Consulate Dreadnought, of course, we want that really low cost to make sure that we can swing in. Now, the reason I say Consulate Dreadnought is because it's an early game. We can get 10 damage in nice and quick unless they want to block, because they're going to have to use spells. They're going to more than likely hold back their mana to be able to destroy it during our turn in our attack phase so that they can play something during their turn. But what they don't realize is that we're looking at swinging in on this, and probably turn 4 where we're going to have at least 1 mana untapped, and that blue mana is fantastic. Okay, well that basically sums it up for our deck, so let's get into this tricky mana fixing, okay? This is going to be a piece of work. Now, what we're going to do to make sure we have consistent land drops with our 4-color deck is bring in all of the lands we need. So first of all, we'll start off with 4 copies of Evolving Wilds to make sure we can search for those basic lands we need. We're going to go with 4 mountains, 4 islands, 4 swamps. We're going to go with 2 glacial fortresses, 2 dragon skull summits, 2 drowned catacombs. I believe this is all we're going to need for the deck that's going to make sure it's fixed properly with our land drops. I haven't had any issues with this so far. Even though it is a 4-color deck, I've been consistently getting the lands I need. Even though our 2-drop creatures we have are both gold cards, I have not had any problems to this date with our mana fixing. But let's move on to our man bag now and see how we can stretch out our lovely combinations. And of course, the first of our lovely combinations I'm going to be bringing in is going to be 3 copies of Built to Last. Now, Built to Last is a white card. It is 1 plane, it's an instant speed. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until the end of the turn, and if it's an artifact creature, it gains indestructible. Okay, so we can always replace Divedown with Built to Last and buff our creatures even more. It's great for the Untethered Express, being able to boost it and destroy their chances of being able to eliminate the threats. Now, Untethered Express is going to be able to continue to get in there, and if they want to have to use a 2-for-1, then let them use 2-for-1 spells on one of your artifacts. That's fine. Best thing about Built to Last is that we're going to have that mana fixing in there so we can make sure we're consistent with our land drops. Yes, now I know we're a 4-color deck and mana fixing is going to be important. So in our sideboard, and I hate to do this, but we need to fill it up with a little bit more mana. So first of all, we're going to go with 2 plains, and we're going to go with 2 more glacial fortresses to balance out any more white cards that we want to drop in from our sideboard to make sure our mana fixing is still consistent. Built to Last is going to work consistently across our deck, so this is the reason why we're having it in our sideboard. But we can't just sit on our laurels and think, what else can we stick in our deck? Because we want to make sure we've got that low curve happening, and we're going to be able to transition into this deck more smoothly. So our next card in our sideboard is very similar, but it's Built to Smash. Now we're going to have 2 copies of Built to Smash, and Built to Smash is a 1-drop red card that is instant speed. Target attacking creature gets +3/+3 till the end of the turn, and if it's an artifact creature, it gains trample. Now, this is really good for our Consulate Dreadnought. So if we're going turn 1, Consulate Dreadnought, turn 3, we're going Siege Modifications, turn 4, Trample. Okay? Beautiful. Even if it's not that, it's Built to Last. We've got the protection, we've got the aggression. Pretty good, I think. Okay, let's move on to our next piece, and that is going to be 2 copies of Ariel Modification. Ariel Modification is very similar to Siege Modifications, wherein we're going to be enchanting our vehicles, except Ariel Modification is a 5-drop. It's 1 white, 4 others. It's an aura that enchants a creature or a vehicle, and as long as the enchant permanent is a vehicle, it gets +2/+2 in flying. So being able to use evasion with our Consulate Dreadnought, Ethersphere Harvester, Untethered Express, or Peace Walker Colossus, you know, it is going to be fantastic. we're going to be able to swing in with evasion unchecked. And of course, what's better than having flying trample? We swing in Ariel Modification, built to smash, and then we roll on with the Dreadnought, with any other of the Tethered Express, Ethersphere Harvesters, or Peacewalk Colossus. This is another way of gaining life from the Ethersphere Harvester. It's another way for us to be able to get in that damage that we really need to win that game. Okay, let's move on to the last piece in our man bag, and this is a beautiful card that I think works synergistically with this deck perfectly, and that is 4 copies of Battle at the Bridge. Now, Battle at the Bridge is sorcery speed, but as Black and X has improvised, so the X is going to be less considerably with the amount of vehicles we're going to have in play. You know, if you think about it, target creature gets minus XX until the end of the turn, and you gain X life. So it's almost like a Moment of Craving, turn 1, if we have a Consulate Dreadnought in play. Consulate Dreadnought's down, we come to our second turn, they play a creature, we can Battle at the Bridge and use it like Moment of Craving. Or you can hold it later, and we might have a Consulate Dreadnought or one of the other 3-drop artifacts in play, and we can play it on turn 4, and we're looking at -6, we can remove anything. It's pretty good. Removing a creature and gaining that life. So we're going to make sure we're doing both. There's nothing better than a card that destroys a creature and gains you life. It is a 2-for-1 against your opponent. Well, that's all for me here at MTG Kiwi Philosophy. I'm Phil. I really hope you've enjoyed this deck. I hope you try it. It's always a little bit of fun to try things that are a little bit out there. And at the end of the day, we all play Magic for fun sometimes. And if you want to get competitive, then you still can with this deck. Well, I hope you've hit the like button, subscribed, shared this video. Do whatever you want. I'll catch you on the flip side. Ciao.